Also, Ambition, just another shout out to him because he did play both sets tonight. We'll definitely be seeing more of him on this interview.
Oh, let's
It will
see.
be Ambition and Crown.
Yeah.
So Ambition, first time this split that you're coming to the MVP interview desk. How do you feel? And he says, it's been such a long time, and when I knew that I was going to play, I really wanted to win. So he's very happy that he did get the victory. So speaking a little bit more on, coming into a match after a short, absence, Ambition says, the way people start their jungle routes have changed a lot ever since I moved into the jungle, so I was really nervous to be playing in this current climate. Meanwhile, Crown's reaction to the victory is, I believe he said, I feel like I didn't do anything, so I am happy, but I'm not overjoyed happy.
Crown didn't do anything? What? Is he living on a different planet?
High standards there. And Ambition, kind of speaking about his mentality or how things have been for him, he says, I feel like I've been trying to do things that I'm not used to. I feel like I've struggled trying to do that, so I just told myself, you know what, let's just do what I'm good at. Let's just focus on what I'm good at. And he says he also had the teammate support in terms of what he was doing, the way he wanted to play. So it looks like we're gonna move to some of the highlights of the match. Again, looking at some of his early ganks on Graves. So speaking on this bottom lane gank, first question was Ambition, did you feel like you had the game when you executed this dive? And Ambition says, yes. Also just describing the situation, he says, we did a great job kind of neutralizing the mid and jungle early on. And from then on, it was a very easy series of events. And speaking more on that last highlight, he says, it was definitely a pick, or rather, he did get picked off. It was a mistake, but Samsung Galaxy are already so far ahead at that point that they managed to capitalize on it and turn it into a gain for the team. So speaking on, again, his mentality going into the jungle, Ambition says, I just focused on farming and making the right calls. which really is what you expect of Ambition, but at the same time he says, I also focused on making sure that the opponent jungler wasn't just going crazy, having the best time. And I believe that question was about Graves. Ambition says, I'm not sure if it's going to be, he's sure that it's going to be a trend, it's going to be really popular, but he's not sure if it's worthy of being banned yet. Now talking about Fly's Talon pick in set 1 and how Crown dealt with it. And Crown says Talon's a pick that has a strong identity as a counter pick, and when you're playing Rise into that, it results in a very easy laning phase. So I had a very easy laning phase, and our bottom lane, top lane didn't give him anything, no kills, no assists. So overall, Crown saying he had a very, you know, straightforward, easy time against the Talon. And then facing the LeBlanc in set 2, Crown says, as soon as we saw how the bans were going, our coaching staff said, look, Crown, you might have to play against the LeBlanc. And Crown says, I told him, okay, boss. So he was very confident going into that matchup, picking up the Corki later on. So speaking on that matchup, Crown says, if the LeBlanc player does really well, they could really dumpster or they could really hand it to the Corki, but he says he felt like he had a much better time himself because he got some minor advantages early on that he managed to keep throughout the laning phase. Now, some of Crown's Valkyries forward were really surprising in this set, and the reason for that, Crown says, is because I knew I had the Shen on my back, rather. So even in a lot of situations where he might not have typically gone in, he had faith, he had confidence that he was going to survive it, and chose to dive in with that Valkyrie. This one a little bit too close. And Crown says it was a bit dangerous, but in the end he did manage to kill LeBlanc, and he had a clear idea of Ezreal summoner spells, I believe that's what he said, and that's why he decided to go in the first place. Also telling us that he actually intended to go in like that. Now, also a strong MVP candidate in the second set, CUVEE, interrupted 4 people's recalls. And Crown saying he definitely made a huge play there. And he's saying, we heard the call from CUVEE that he actually interrupted 4 people, but they were all down there against the LeBlanc, just like how CUVEE is going against 4 people right now. So being asked about maybe some of the shot calls that happened in the situation, Crown says, it was such a hectic situation that I don't remember everything, but I think eventually CUVEE just called for backup, and as a team, we just all went up there. So moving forward, Samsung has to play KT on the 16th. And Ambition says, we're practicing really hard, we're practicing well as usual. So as long as the matchups go our way, we should be able to take it.
So that does wrap up the MVP interview